Hey, what's going on, everyone?
Yo.
This is the Average Sports Guys podcast. I am your host, Eddie.
I'm Adam.
This is Marcus.
And we are joined by a very special guest, Brian from the NFC East Feast podcast. How's it going, buddy?
Dude, very good, man. I'm a little upset about some news I saw about the Cowboys. We'll get into that in a little bit. But overall, life is good. And Average Sports Guys, where I'm so excited to be here, man. Appreciate y'all having me.
Yeah,
Appreciate
man.
it.
Yeah, we couldn't be happier for you to join.
Absolutely.
So we will be NFC East heavy today.
Facts.
We're going to do our usual. We'll do team news. And then I have a few questions we can kick around pertaining to each team. But before we get into the show, so just so you guys know, Brian, who is joining our show, he is a Cowboys fan.
Yes, sir.
So it is good to get a different perspective. Brian, just to let you know, we collectively take a shit on the Cowboys on a weekly basis.
Every chance we can get.
But I will tell you, I take massive dumps on our team when it is deserved. So it is not completely biased.
For sure.
Equal opportunity haters.
That's right.
Absolutely.
All right.
That's a part of being a fan of the NFC East, man. You got to know when to hate on yourself because at one point, I think in the past decade, all four of us have been dumpster fires. All four of us have
Absolutely.
one division. It's part of it.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So why don't we do this? Let's just get team news out of the way.
Right.
So, Brian, since you're our guest, why don't you go first? What's going on in Cowboys Nation?
Yes, I alluded to this in my introduction. It made me sick to my stomach to say that the Jones family has decided to hire Ben McAdoo, or as I like to call him, Ben Much to Do About Nothing. If y'all remember McAdoo, he was the Giants coach for Eli's last couple years.
Yeah.
They were a complete wreck. I believe he came from Green Bay. I believe when Green Bay won the Super Bowl, he was the quarterback's coach. Now, I mean, how hard is it to coach Aaron Rodgers?
Right.
But it was discouraging to see. I don't understand why we need Ben McAdoo. I like Kellen Moore, our OC, and I think our problem is on the defensive side of the football. I don't really understand why we needed another chef in the kitchen. But I mean, who knows? Maybe he gives Mike McCarthy, some resemblance of the good old Green Bay days, but a little disappointed by that, guys, got to be honest.
Yeah, I actually saw on your Instagram that you shared that that post on your story, and it just like kind of caught me. I was like, it is a head scratcher for sure, but I mean, I guess we'll see what comes out of that.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And hopefully, once again, going back to us, like dumping you guys a little bit, hopefully he just encourages McCarthy to run the ball a little bit. I mean,
for sure.
For real, like that's literally, that could be his job. Like, I think we need to run the ball here, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. So, anything else going on out of Cowboys camp? Or did you guys start OTAs and all that stuff too?
We did start OTAs. I mean, other than the McAdoo hire, I mean, just the big news is that Dak is healthy. I mean, he claimed he could play an NFL game tomorrow. We'll see about that. But he's out there running reps with the first team. He looks good. So, I mean, that's all I want to see. After giving the guy $160 million, the first thing is just health. And the rest will work itself out. So Dak is healthy. All the rookies are in camp. So, I mean, it's pretty good news out of DC right now.
That's what's up.
Big D, I should say, not DC.
For sure.
All right, Marcus, what's going on in Philly, man?
So, as you guys know, we had to bring in Ryan Kerrigan.
That dude is trash.
And what I love about that is just bringing in another vet, to help out with our 7-man rotation up front. 5.5 sacks last year. Dude was a beast. We were 3rd in sacks last year as a defense, which is a really big deal. So just adding another vet to that rotation is huge. Another thing that's been coming out of Philly is the fact that Jalen Hurts is a workhorse, period. He, like, with his interviews and everything, he says that, rent is due every day.
Oh yeah.
That's always been that way for me, and I don't plan on missing any payments. And something else that he actually did, he actually got the numbers of all the players, and he's getting a lot of praise from a lot of the vets as well. Even Miles Sanders was like, he's impressing everybody. And one of my bigger questions was, and we can get into this a little bit later, was, bringing in a new head coach and new regime. One thing you can always say about Doug Peterson was his ability to lead men, right? And with Nick Sirianni, with the whole RPS thing, it's a little bit of a question mark at this point. So I think Jalen Hurts at this point is picking up some of that slack, being that leader in the room and, being the first guy in, last guy out, things like that.
Hold on. I'm going to cut you off, right? So Marcus always talks about the rock, paper, scissors thing. I could see Jalen Hurts in fourth quarter. They're in the huddle. He's like, rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Because Sirianni's going to call it in his helmet. It's going to be something so stupid. Right,
it'd be crazy if that was an audible too. RPS.
Oh my God.
Please. We need that in our lives.
So there's that. There've been a couple of interviews with Darius Slay talking about, the defensive backs and things like that. We've obviously added some upgrades with a few guys in our linebacker. Who do we pick up? A couple of guys from the Eric Wilson. We picked him up, and then we also have Anthony Harris, and they're both from the Vikings. Mm-hmm. So really excited about that. And also going back to Darius Slay, he was talking about Devontae Smith, and he picked his brain a little bit. And he was like, "This kid knows his stuff." Number one, number two, he's going to win a lot of one-on-one matchups. And even just watching him in the OTAs, right? He doesn't slack at all. He puts his foot in the ground, cuts, does what he needs to do. On the flip side of that, Rager's looking a little lazy in OTAs, which is like a little annoying. Aside from that, I'm actually really excited about, everything coming out of Philly so far, aside from the Rager comment. But aside from that, it's looking pretty good. So,
all right, Adam, you got anything with Washington?
No, I mean, it was just fun to actually see the guys out there, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why. The one thing that really got me jacked was just seeing Fitzmagic walk out there with the beard and the helmet on, man. He's just like, that dude just seems awesome, right? Yeah. He's just like hopping. I think they even had like a clip of him like running with the ball too, and actually, it's Fitzpatrick. He's not moving that well, but like just the fact that he's out there like having a good time, like trying to make moves, like it was fun to see.
Right.
I know you had some news about a signing.
Yeah, so Washington signed tight end Ricky Seals-Jones. He formerly was with the Chiefs, and then they also signed Deion Yelder. I believe that was a couple weeks ago. So he was from the Chiefs as well. So we add some depth to the tight end room.
There you go.
Obviously, for Washington football fans, we're mostly interested in seeing the development of Samis Reyes. He was the international player that was signed. Okay. Reports coming out of camp is that, he's got to work on route running, blocking. Apparently he had a few like athletic catches. Ryan Fitzpatrick said he's probably one of the physical specimens that he has seen. He's like, I've not seen too many people that look like that. So my hope is that he can make the active roster on a special teams role, learn throughout the season, and then, see what happens thereafter, which maybe that's the direction Ron is thinking as well, with bringing in these veteran tight ends to help with Logan Thomas. So,
I love Logan Thomas, man.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
That transition from quarterback was smooth, dude. He hit the ground running last year. He balled out.
Yeah, he did. He had a very good year. I was shocked. Adam and I both were.
Yeah. Because we did not have high hopes.
Now, early on in the season last year, we were like, I don't know what to make of it.
There you go.
We'll see what happens. But I thought he had a pretty solid season.
Yep.
Let's see some notable players that weren't at OTAs. Chase Young being one of them.
Okay.
And
Sweat.
Steve Sims Jr. Yeah, and Montez Sweat. So Steve Sims Jr. I guess reportedly will be back tomorrow, Thursday. I don't think you're right. Darn, damn it, he'll be back. He's going to get caught up in a numbers game, in my opinion, and I don't know that he will make the roster, to be honest, especially when you have other players that are capable of doing what he was doing.
Right.
Let's see. Chase Young, I'm personally not too worried. Again, it's OTAs. I'm just not too worried that he's not there.
Right.
He'll be fine. Same with Montez Sweat.
Facts.
The rookie receiver, is it De'Ami Brown? I always screw up his first name.
North Carolina,
from
right?
North Carolina,
Yeah.
He torched Troy Apke. Torched him, which is not hard, right?
Pretty
much everybody torches Troy
way.
Apke. But Apke has speed, though, and he couldn't keep up with him. So I don't know if it was an angles thing, because I know he takes bad angles.
Right.
But it was good to see just some of the short clips that I saw in the reports that I read. He seems like a very smooth, like fluid receiver. I feel like his route tree's got to get better, and it will. But I still think Scott Turner can dial up some dynamic things with that. So it'll be fun to see, throughout OTAs and then obviously into training camp, where he fits in there. The biggest thing I wanted to kick around, I actually saw this a couple hours ago. It is reported, rumors, that Jay-Z is interested in buying ownership in the Washington football team.
Yeah. Put up the rock.
Yeah.
You know what?
Did you guys hear that? And if you didn't, what's your thoughts on it?
It's for me, it's Jay-Z being Jay-Z, right? He wants to own multiple teams. He wants to be invested into multiple sports. He wants to build his brand beyond music because, he puts out albums still. But I think it is a positive, strong move just from the African-American culture in general of a guy just literally just expanding his brand and doing something positive and reaching
said,
out.
He's not a businessman.
He's a business man. Like I said, it's a great thing. It'd be interesting to see that man in a few games, but we'll see what happens. Yeah. And then also getting it, like owning a piece of that team, especially with the history with Dan Snyder and everything. Right. Yeah. I think it's a really big deal.
Yeah. So. Brian, what's your take on it?
I love it for Washington football team. I mean, how could you not? It seems like you guys had a little bit of cultural issues that started at the top and then trickled its way down. I think having a stand-up guy like Ron Rivera coming in, he cleaned up a lot of that real quick.
Oh, sure.
It might take 2 or 3 years. He changed that real quick. And now that Dan Snyder is willing to entertain this, I think it's nothing but good news, man. If you guys could get Hove in there, and whether it's 2% or 25% ownership, I think that helps you guys out in every way.
Yeah, especially from a branding standpoint.
Absolutely.
I was just thinking that. Yeah. I mean, look at what he did with the Nets, right? Like that whole shift took place while he was still a part of that team. And I mean, they're doing all right now, right? And they look pretty good. So yeah, I as long as it goes more like the Brooklyn Nets way as opposed to the Tidal way, I'm all for it.
Hey man, don't knock on Tidal. Everybody can probably get a free Tidal account tomorrow.
Well, so like my take on it is much like you three, right? My only hesitation if I'm Jay-Z is, do you really want to get in bed with Dan Snyder? You know what I mean? Now there was a TMZ video the other day. I don't know if you all saw that. Him and Jason Wright were, I believe they were at the Rams stadium. They're touring different stadiums. And Dan Snyder actually stopped and let the dude from TMZ like ask him questions. Oh, okay. So that first of all seemed like a setup because Dan has not been in the public eye in years. And then after a few questions, Jason Wright, this look on his face, and he kind of took over that conversation. It was like, he had that look like, Dan, don't fuck this up. But I mean, it was cool to see Snyder more personable. Right. It does seem like he's staying out of football operations, and he's even letting Jason Wright kind of run the front end of the house. So as long as those things, there's those checks and balances there. Right. If I'm Jay-Z, I would like some assurance before I put some cash up. You know what I mean? Facts. But again, if those things check out, hey, I'm all in. Yeah. You know, because this team is only going to make you money. I mean, to me, the cash cow is the Dallas Cowboys, right? I feel like they just make money hand over fist.
Just branding, period.
Washington also brings in a good amount of money. Yeah. And so Jay-Z is going to get money back. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I think it could potentially be a win-win for everybody. But again, my first thing I thought was just like the branding, from the branding aspect, like fans would be cool to be like, oh yeah, Jay-Z's part owner of this team. So absolutely. And then to see what sort of creative influence he would potentially have over, hell, we still don't have a name. You know what I mean? So you're going through rebranding there, name, logo.
I mean, I think we could just simplify it down to like, we haven't been cool in a while. We might be cool if he came through, right? Like,
right. Yeah.
Sure. Oh gosh.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so that's our team news. Let's get into kind of the topics we discussed before we started recording, and that was just the NFC East. I'm going to play a little clip from Dan Orlovsky, and then I'm going to get your guys' take on this.
Oh, gosh.
Brian, you might not like this.
The Cowboys are the third best team in this division, okay? The Washington football team and the Giants are both better. And I'll give you 2 reasons why. 1, I think the Giants and the Washington football team are better coached. And 2, if Ryan Fitzpatrick and or Daniel Jones plays good football, these are both going to be really good teams and playoff contending football teams. If Dak Prescott plays good football, that's still not a playoff team because their defense is still that bad. Their defensive line last year gave up 3.5 yards per carry before touching the person running the football. And they didn't do anything to address that defensive line substantially in the draft. The Giants and the Washington football team are better than the Dallas Cowboys.
All right. So, Brian, that was not purposely put in to take a shit on Dallas. I saw this clip the other day, and somebody was floating it around on Twitter. I don't always agree with Dan Orlovsky.
Nah.
But I thought it was fitting for the show, right? Because
100%.
he was specifically talking about the NFC East.
Absolutely.
So, having heard that, the actual first question that I have with that is, what is the biggest question mark for each team? Brian, you can go first.
I think all 4 teams, we can throw up just the quarterback position. Jalen Hurts looks really, really good in the 4 weeks of action. Mm-hmm. Ryan Fitzpatrick is a journeyman quarterback. Right. Is he going to win some games for the Washington football team? Absolutely. But is he going to throw some pick sixes in the fourth quarter that Alex Smith did not throw? You're damn right. Daniel Jones, you now have elite weapons. You have Saquon Barkley back. So it's put up or shut up for Danny Dimes. And Dak Prescott coming off of a gruesome injury. Are you going to be the same type of player? You just got paid Patrick Mahomes money. So I think for all 4 ball clubs, literally the best quarterback, or at least who plays the best at that last month of the season, that might win the division.
Yeah. So that's actually a very good take. Adam, I'm going to go to you next, but just to kind of talk about what Brian's take was there. I think you're absolutely right. So that was actually one of the questions that I had for Dallas, right? Is Dak going to be Dak? And there's just a big question mark there. Like, we just don't know. All things trend, right, that he should be back and at full health. But is he going to have any sort of explosiveness? How's he going to feel, when he's planting and throwing, those types of things, escapability. But yeah, so for sure. And then obviously with Ryan Fitzpatrick, we all know he can throw, touchdowns, but then like you just said, he'll throw a touchdown to the other team. Very Kirk Cousins-esque, if you will. Yeah. But now to kind of talk about Ryan Fitzpatrick in a sense, Ron Rivera and company have to know that, right? I mean, clearly. Right. But I think if you look at this offense and what it potentially is shaping up to be, I think this is one of the more potentially one of the more complete offenses that Fitzpatrick has been in, with a good to better run game where, and then we know Scott Turner likes to do those short passes to the backs or, to guys in the slot, things like that. So he may not have to go downfield. And I feel like if you can get an early lead and then you have a stout defense, there's no reason to just continue to air it out and put him in a position where he'll throw it away. But you are absolutely right. Right. I can see Fitzpatrick, and I listened to your guys' free agency frenzy show, and you talked about that. I can definitely see Fitzpatrick like pissing us off. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I said that as much when we first signed him. I was just like a little optimistic, but just still unsure. So, I mean, yeah, the good and the bad. And then Danny Dimes, it is put up or shut up. It is. And we've said that on this show for sure. I mean, he's got all the weapons you can want. Yeah. You know what I mean?
They have done their best to like put him in a position to succeed. And
if they don't, I mean, barring injury to some of your other stars, Saquon or any of the receivers, I mean, it is all on him because I think the Giants really do have a good defense.
They do.
You know what I mean? And I think they played well last year. Again, I don't remember what they ranked, but they were pretty fucking solid. Mm-hmm. So
especially at tackle position.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that they've only gotten better. And then, with the Eagles and Jalen Hurts. Now, I think the only thing with him is, yes, he's still young. He's got a lot to learn. Everybody has a full off season. They're going to obviously study the crap out of those 4 games that he played. Right. And they're going to try to obviously take away what he does best. So the growth for him and how he overcomes those things is going to be huge and be important. Right. What about you?
I think you hit the nail on the head, right? At least with Washington, it's going to be the quarterback, but more so than just the quarterback alone. I think it's going to be kind of the synergy between Turner and Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
Right? Like we kind of were, this is something we talked about all the time last season where we were like, we wanted Turner to be a bit more aggressive, right? And try to put the ball downfield a little bit more. Fitzpatrick, that's really all he's about, right? So, like, how is that going to work, right? Merging his aggression with Turner. I wouldn't say that he plays it safe per se, right? But he's not super aggressive as far as going downfield. He's more of like a take what the defense gives you, right? Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see how those two kind of philosophies mesh. I think Fitzpatrick is smart enough to make like the right decisions, right? It's just going to be, or to know what the right decision is. It's just going to be a question of, is he going to do it, or is he just going to be like, fuck that, I'm going downfield, right? Like, so I think that'll be the fun thing to watch. But at the very least, though, I think I'm excited about it just because I don't think our offense will be anemic next season, right? Which is what it felt like a lot of the time last season. I'm comfortable with our defense, and us, our defense plus, like, let's be real, like a kind of shitty offense last season did pretty well. So I'm excited to see a more aggressive offense.
Yeah. Marcus.
All right, so shout out to Dan Orlovsky for not even mentioning my Eagles. I love that. The underdog mentality is what we live for.
Underdog, that might be reality.
Like,
for y'all.
but for real, like seriously. So looking at the coaching style of Nick Sirianni, right? So he's aggressive when it comes to throwing the ball downfield. Like, he loves to scheme guys open with his receivers. Jalen Hurts doesn't have like the best arm, but he can push the ball down the field. He already has chemistry with Devontae Smith from the limited time they had there in Alabama. I think he's going to stretch the field. I think more or less one of the bigger things that I'm worried about, or one of our biggest question marks, is the coaching, because we do have a new regime on both sides of the ball, if you think about it. But he's a smart guy. Like, I've watched him break down tape of what the Colts like to do when throwing guys open, scheming and things like that. I'm more excited about the run game and the fact that our offensive line is healthy, right? So you're getting Brandon Brooks back, Lane Johnson, Jason Kelsey's back for another season. We drafted Landon Dickerson. Hopefully he doesn't have to play too much and he can work his way into the role and just get completely healthy this season. And I forgot to mention this earlier. Jordan Mailata, who came through the whole, program where they bring in guys from other sports, he's starting at left tackle. He's been taking all the first team reps as of OTAs, which is great.
Not Andre Dillard.
We have Andre Dillard that we wasted a first round pick on. He's gonna have to earn that spot back, because remember, he got injured and pulled something, whatever. He's got to earn that spot back. So, but then again, it also speaks to our offensive line depth, right? So, offensively, it's more about the coaching and putting Jalen Hurts in the best position to win. But on the defensive side of the ball, doing what the team is built to do, right? Get after the quarterback, playing a lot of nickel. From what I hear, what's coming out of Philly Nation, that they're going to drop Kevon Wallace down into that hybrid linebacker safety role, or that extra corner, or that extra D-back out there. I like the pickup of Eric Wilson, 3 sacks, 62 solo tackles last season, and then even bringing in Anthony Harris, who has familiarity with what's the guy's name, Rodney McLeod, because they played together at UVA. So he looked at him as a mentor. So bringing guys into the fold that know what they're talking about, and also Anthony Harris has experience with our defensive coordinator, which is Jonathan Gannon. So they've worked together before. And then also bringing in a guy that is another offensive mind in the room in Shane Steichen, our offensive coordinator. I don't know if you guys knew about him, but he spent time with the Chargers, and the Chargers last year were 6th in passing, 6th in scoring, and 30th in rushing. But I think, having Miles Sanders in the backfield that we have, and bringing in Kerryon Johnson and that Kenneth Gainwell kid from Memphis, I like that kid a lot. He's a Swiss Army knife and a half. So,
have y'all noticed something? If you play running back at Memphis, i.e. Tony Pollard, Gibson, and now Gainwell, you go to the NFC East.
You go to the NFC East. And that's what I said on the previous show. I'm like, they're dirty. Like, they're good. Yeah. Like, in my opinion, for your Cowboys, I want Pollard to start.
Oh,
like,
he's so good.
He is dirty. He gets skinny.
He's so good.
Yeah. He gets skinny in the hole. So, like, overall, like I said, for me, it's more about the coaching. Does it work? Can we coach up Jalen Hurts? Can we put him in the best position to win? And then on the defensive side, can we put our players in the best position to win based on what we do well.
All right. So what you just said at the end actually leads me into my next question, which is about the Eagles. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll get back into that.
For sure.
Hey, people. It's Eddie and Marcus here from the Average Sports Guys podcast. Are you looking for screen printed shirts or hoodies? Maybe you need embroidered polos, hats, or beanies. If so, check out our guys over at Full Color Prints LLC, located in Chantilly, Virginia.
Yeah, head over to fullcolorprintsdc.com or find them on Instagram at DMV T-Shirt Guys and support your local business.
With over 15 years of experience, there's no wonder they're still in business, and they're sure to meet your satisfaction.
The Average Sports Guys have used them, and you should too.
And we're back. So as I said before we went to break, Marcus, the point that you made. So my question that I had, so we pretty much got through the Dallas question because I asked, will Dak be back to true form? We talked about Daniel Jones. This is put up or shut up for him. Right. Pretty much will he carry that offense? Now, as far as like the Eagles, and this is for everybody, and Brian, we'll start with you. What do you think the Eagles will look like as a whole? Because unless, you're locked into Eagles Nation like Marcus is and other Eagles fans who are confused with life, then we don't really know like the coaches and hell, other than like stars on your team, most people don't know your roster. So Brian, if you're looking at the Eagles and just the moves they've made, what do they look like to you for this upcoming season?
I think they look better than the average sports fan would think. They've kind of been a bit of the butt of a lot of jokes this offseason. I think Doug Peterson straight up trashed the organization after whatever that debacle happened with the whole Nate Sudfeld thing in week 17. Who knows what really went down? But I know Peterson came out and talked about how he had to have meetings with Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman like every Tuesday. And I think that's a reason that they maybe had to settle for Nick Sirianni because he wasn't exactly the most sought after coach. Right. But despite, the awkward press conference that Coach Sirianni had and the rock, paper, scissors comment, I think this team still they are elite on the trenches. Their offensive and defensive line are the strengths of this team. I like the running game. I like Jalen Hurts. I think the Eagles are by no means going to compete for the division title, but I do not think they're a dumpster fire.
Adam?
My concern with the Eagles is just depth, right? Like, I think we talked a lot about how, like, okay, they're healthy now and at full strength. Yeah, I don't think they're a bad team, but it does feel like they're one or two key injuries away from being in the shitter again, right? And so, yeah, it's an unfortunate cap situation. They somehow managed to figure that out, and it seems like, they look all right on paper right now. I'm not super concerned about Hurts and the offense. Like, I think if there's one thing that Jalen Hurts has demonstrated, it's that, like, he can move into new systems, and he can pick things up and figure things out. So I offensively, I'm actually kind of excited to see them. I think they should be fun to watch on the offensive side of the ball. I think it's how good is that defense really going to be, and will they be able to stay healthy?
Yeah. So my take on it is, first and foremost, I want them on Hard Knocks because I need so much rock, paper, scissors. No, but I said it on the last show. So Adam, you were out the last show. Marcus and I talked about one team in our division we were excited to see, not necessarily that you're a fan of, but just excited in one way or the other. And I picked the Eagles for that reason, right? Like, I think they're going to have extreme highs, but also extreme lows. Right. And then there's so much unknown with a whole new coaching staff, right? A young coach, an unproven coach, those types of things. So he's definitely going to get out-coached at times, but then I think he can bring in a fresh way of doing things that maybe would shock somebody or what have you. And I'm just elated that Marcus is on the podcast because we're going to take that ride with you.
Oh, for sure.
You're going to, provide entertainment for us.
Epic rants.
Epic rants. So
it's going to go down.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. But how I see Philly overall is, to Brian's point, I don't think you're going to compete for a division this year. But I think this year is going to be a litmus test and a baseline test for where your team truly is based on the system they want to run. And then they're going to really be able to fine tune going, to year 2 and 3 to say this player fits what we need, those types of things. So I hate to say it. I see you guys at maybe 5-6 wins, something like that.
It's just what it is. So I'm gonna start off by saying that we do have 3 first-round picks next year. So I'm not gonna get too upset.
Right, I had to talk you off the ledge for weeks. I was like, Marcus, you will be fine after this year.
So I honestly believe that we're going to be better than what people think. I trust. Like I said, I've watched a lot of tape, and I've watched Nick Sirianni like break down tape and things like that. I think our defense is going to be better than people think. Yes, Avonte Maddox opposite of Darius Slay does scare me a little bit. I'm hoping that Zach McPherson proves to be the stud that he is. I mean, he was graded 3rd amongst outcoming quarterbacks and cornerbacks by Pro Football Focus. He was like tied for 3rd. Whatever, he's legit. So if we can have consistent secondary, like it doesn't even have to be great. It just has to be enough to where our front 4 can get home, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we already shored up that. I mean, obviously by bringing in Kerrigan, like that's where we're putting our money, right? Mm-hmm. Also, like I'll agree with you, Adam. Like I have to go the health route. You know, our offensive line specifically has been, you know, a turnstile at times throughout, you know, the past 3-4 seasons. Hopefully Lane Johnson stays healthy. Hopefully Brandon Brooks with the weight like cutting and everything, because he looks jacked right now. He stays a little bit healthier, but if our offensive line stays healthy, we're one of the best in the business. Mm-hmm. Which also leads me to leaning on the run game when you have a guy like Miles Sanders who can literally break for any amount of yards he wants to. Even bringing in a guy like Kerryon Johnson, bringing back Boston Scott, re-signing Jordan Howard, Gainwell, things like that. So if we can, and like going back to Eddie's point, if we can, you know, yes, Nick Sirianni is going to get out-coached at times, but if he leans on the veterans around Jalen Hurts, right, and leans on the run game, we still have Zach Ertz on the roster. What's his face? We still have Dallas Goedert, who's still a problem. Devontae Smith. You have Greg Ward, who was literally a practice squad player, working his up as a starter. Mm-hmm. We have guys that can play. It's just a matter of, you know, coaching, building that culture, and putting us in a position to win. I think if all goes like I think it does, I think we can definitely compete for the division. It's just a matter of, is it going to work, right? Is it going to work? Is everything going to fit like we think it's going to fit? And then is everybody going to stay healthy? Mm-hmm. So that's my take on it.
Okay. And then the last question is about the Washington football team. We kind of touched on it. Brian brought it up, is the Ryan Fitzpatrick. Is Fitz going to Fitz? Or, you know what I mean? What are we getting, Fitz Tragic or Fitz Magic? Brian, why don't you go first? Again, I know we kind of touched on it, but let me put a different context to it. Does Fitzpatrick give this Washington offense enough to be, how do I say it? Pretty much like a legitimate, respected offense around the league? Because last year, only when Alex Smith was in there, 5-1, Alex Smith is respected. Obviously, he went through the injury, came back. You're not going to really trash him. But from a stats perspective, we were not very good. Mm-hmm. So does Fitzpatrick provide that?
I think so. I think he's got a little bit of magic left in that hat, or in the beard. I don't know where he keeps it, but I mean, you guys are going to have something you lacked last year, and that's some explosiveness.
Right.
Scary Terry's going to just get to show off that 4.3 speed a little bit more than he did last year. Curtis Samuel's going to make plays catching the ball and running the football. Antonio Gibson's only going to get better. And Logan Thomas is still developing. So it's not just Fitz magic. I think you guys have an above average offensive line, I would say, despite letting go of Morgan Moses. And the weapons are better. De'Ami Brown, I'm pretty sure he ran a pretty smoking 40-yard dash himself. Yeah. So I think that Fitz magic is going to put you guys in the same position you were last year, probably fighting at week 17, or should I say now week 18, for the division title. I think he's going to put the defense on their heels a few times by throwing some interceptions, but thank goodness for you guys, you have an elite defense. So I think that they will hold up enough for the Washington football team to be right in that 8 or 9 win range and have a shot at hosting a playoff game once again.
Adam, how about you?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I think Fitz is gonna Fitz. I think we know that, and what that means is that you're gonna get Fitz magic and you're gonna get Fitz tragic. I think he is in a good situation here in that our defense is good enough that we can kind of mitigate Fitz tragic, right? A decent amount, right?
Right. So long as he doesn't just go totally off the rails.
Right.
But if you see, I feel like if we start to see that, you will see Heineke play.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and that's kind of the other interesting thing, right? Is that from what we've seen from Heineke, I would feel comfortable with him rolling out there. Like, especially if you start to see Fitzmagic start making a bunch of bad decisions or throwing the ball away too many times. Heineke was aggressive as well, but I think he did a pretty good job of taking care of the ball considering the complete lack of experience that he had on that stage. So yeah.
Marcus, what's your take on Fitzpatrick?
I hope he throws every single interception possible when he plays Philly. I hope he just throws up ducks. He's getting smacked to the ground. No, seriously. No, I mean, I agree with everything you guys said. I really don't have much else to add except for the fact that I actually would rather, as a football fan, see Heineke come through and actually like bring that exciting spark to your team like he did last year. I really like that kid, and you know, he's playing with house money, so he's just like, I'm just gonna go out there and ball.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I mean, I have nothing else to add.
Yeah. I'm just mentally preparing for that roller coaster that Fitzpatrick is going to put us on. Tons of blood pressure medication.
Yeah.
But I still think it's going to be probably the most exciting offense we've seen in a long time.
Right.
I agree.
Because even last year, there were many times I'm just like, this smells like it's about to be a 3 and out. You know what I mean? So hopefully we can move the change and score some touchdowns, do better in the red zone, things of that nature.
Maybe even score on that first drive for once.
Yeah, I think we went all year. I think we went all year and didn't score. We were the only team in the league that didn't score on an opening drive. I mean, go figure. So yeah, I mean, I can't wait for football, man.
Yeah,
for sure.
I know.
All right, so let's get into end of the season matchups, and then we will end the show with who we think is going to win the division. So the end of the season seems to be NFC East heavy as far as, for our old thing. I think Washington, I think we have it's like Dallas, Philly, Giants or something like that.
Something crazy.
Yeah, I feel like they purposely scheduled that for a reason because, I mean, like Brian said, it usually, whoever's going to win that division always comes down to that last week.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like sometimes like I just feel like, why can't we be like other divisions and wrap this shit up by like December 2nd? You know what I mean? And let some young guys play.
For sure.
Marcus, let me see how I can phrase this question. Basically, I mean, what are your thoughts pretty much on just the matchups? I want to get everybody's thoughts, and then, like I said, we'll go ahead and get into the divisional winners.
I'm going to say this. If we can beat the Giants like we usually do.
Something we can't do.
Yeah, like if we can beat the Giants like we usually do and then split with you guys and then split with the Cowboys and let you guys fight it out, I think we could take the division. But the caveat to all of this is dependent upon week 3 more than anything in Philly Nation because we play the Cowboys. And if you sit there, right, and you do not win in Dallas week 3, Nick Sirianni is going to hear a lot of crap throughout the entire season.
Oh, yeah.
Eating crow until the end of the division. End of the season because we don't play you guys until the end. So I think a lot of it as far as the feel is predicated on week 3. But if we can, like I said, if we can take out the Giants and just sweep them and then split everywhere else, I think we'll be in a decent spot. I would love to pick up another sweep somewhere else based on what I think we're able to do.
Not happening in Washington.
We'll see. But that's just where my head is. I think a lot of it is dependent upon where our heads are at, especially after week 3. We'll see.
Okay. Brian?
I just looked it up, guys, as Marcus was finishing. January 9th, 2022, a day we will all circle. The Cowboys are playing the Eagles. The football team is playing the Giants. And I almost guarantee I'll go hot take and say I won't give each team, but 3 of the 4 teams will be alive. Just like last year, when we had the Andy Dalton, I think, threw a pick in the end zone to end the Cowboys' chances at the 1 o'clock window. Yeah. And obviously in prime time, all of the Eagles drama unfolded. Yeah. I think the same thing's going to happen, guys. I couldn't be a Dallas Cowboys fan if I didn't come on the Average Sports Guys and pick my team to win. So of course I'm going to say that maybe we defeat the Eagles to go 9-8. And the Cowboys win the division.
Never go 8-8 again.
I think that Washington or the Giants, maybe the winner of that game, I think both those football teams are going to be good enough to maybe get a wild card.
Right.
And the loser of that game goes home and joins Philly. I'll still give Philadelphia. I will give Philadelphia a respectable 7-10.
Oh, that's not bad. Like I said, I got them at most 6 wins.
I love it. I love it.
Adam, what's your take?
All right. Objectively, I just think I think the schedule planners did a great job.
Oh yeah,
because like this is
they know what they're doing.
Yeah, this is going to be a really entertaining slate to kind of finish the season. As a Washington fan, I'm nervous just because I think it's going to be a brutal run of games. Right,
for sure.
Like, seeing the Cowboys and the Eagles just back to back to back, and then closing out with the Giants. To me, I think the Giants are the scariest team in our division.
Right.
Like that's the team that I'm most concerned with. Yeah, I just think it's gonna be. I just think it's gonna be rough. Like my hope is that we can make it through that gauntlet without too many injuries. I think that we'll be okay throughout there. I don't want to say like how many games I think we'll win or whatever, but I think we'll do okay. I'm more concerned about what comes next because I think at the very least we'll be competing for a wild card slot.
Right.
But I don't want to be like completely hampered going into that game, right? I mean, just as a slight aside though, just because I didn't really talk about this much, but I'm super excited to watch the Cowboys this season. I feel like every game is going to be a shootout. That's what I'm hoping for at least. Like I mean, let's call a spade. The defense is not there, right? Kind of trash on defense right now, but the offense is stacked, right?
Right.
So I hope that you guys fully lean into that and just I just want to see shootouts all the time, right? Like I want to see the Chiefs on steroids where like you're just like screw defense. We're just gonna run the score up and see what happens.
Score more points.
Well, see, and so to your point, Dallas to me, at least since Dak has taken over, hell, even when Romo was there, right? Like they score points. That's just what they do. Right. And even before Dak got hurt, I believe I picked them to win the division because they by far to me had the best offense in the division.
He was putting up like video game numbers, just right? Like it was
ridiculous numbers. Yeah. And I remember watching when he got injured and I was like, oh, that is no good. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I said, no, I don't like the Cowboys, but you never want to see that. I was honestly hoping you guys just told Dak, go sign elsewhere so he can come here. But no, I mean, yeah, it's going to be, in my opinion, a murderer's row down the stretch.
Yep.
There's just no way to get around it. And I think to Adam's point, it does seem like the division beats each other up. I mean, if you're going to get up for any game, it's going to be these divisional games. So,
facts.
Yeah, I mean, I expect dogfights. I expect a war. It doesn't matter if the Eagles at that point have only 2 wins. Like, they're still going to be scrappy.
Keep it coming. I love it. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You know what I mean? So, it's one of those things where I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. So, all right. So, Brian kind of let the cat out of the bag. He's going to pick his team to win the division. Marcus, who are you picking to win the division?
Oh, I got to take the Eagles. I think we're going to surprise everybody. You know, underdog, Robin season. You know how we get down. So, I got the Eagles.
Marcus or Adam?
Thanks. No. I know who you're going to pick. And so, for the sake of balance, I'm not going to pick my own team. I'm going to pick the Giants in this one.
I was legitimately going to pick the Giants.
Really?
Yes.
Really? Okay, never mind. I'm picking my team then. I'm going to pick the Giants mainly because Danny Dimes has always had our number. Like, we have not beaten him ever, and which is, like, a massive problem in my mind. And I think that unless we can rectify that this season, those 2 games are gonna kill us, right? Like that's why we're not gonna win the division. So I'm gonna go with the Giants, unfortunately.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna go Giants as well. Just because I feel like I was on a roll. Like last year, you know, like I would never pick us to win.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pick the Giants to win the division. and the Giants are gonna win. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, Washington has the pieces to do it. Clearly, veteran coach and leadership in Ron Rivera.
Right.
But if Danny Dimes plays well, serviceable, I can see the team being a huge problem.
Yep.
Huge problem. So, but I mean, yeah, really, I mean, if it wasn't for the holes on defense for Dallas, they would be my favorite.
Oh, absolutely.
If they had an average defense, I would be like, that's enough.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, it would be because if Dak is healthy, that offense is scoring 39 points or more a game.
Right.
Like they're just that good. So yeah, so there you have it. So Dallas, Eagles. I picked the Giants. You picked the Giants. Nobody picked Washington. Washington will win the division.
My partner George isn't here, but I can hear him echoing in my ear right now. The Washington football team, so they're represented.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, so that'll put a bow on this episode. Again, this is episode 69.
69.
Hey.
Brian joined in a good episode. Brian, we thank you for joining us. Where can people follow your guys' podcast?
We are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts right now. Our goal is to get to YouTube at some point this season, but please, everyone go like and subscribe to NFC East Feast. It's me and my buddy George. We do the same thing as you guys. We like to think we're knowledgeable, but at the end of the day, we're just some homers who like to give each other a hard time. But Eddie, Adam, Marcus, this has been an absolute pleasure, man. Average Sports Guys, y'all are the best.
All right, buddy. Yeah, we really appreciate it. We'll have you on again.
Yes, for sure.
All right, man.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
All right, so we were joined by Brian from the NFC East Feast podcast. Go ahead and check them out.
Let's go.
Good dudes. I usually chop it up with them on Instagram quite a bit. Like I said, he had reached out because they wanted Marcus, the resident Eagle, on to do an Eagles episode. So hopefully we can get you on their show, and then we can get their full team on with us, both guys.
For sure. Got to be able to grace them with one. Yep.
Brian's great, man.
He's great.
Yeah. So that was the NFC East wrap up there. Yeah, I liked it, man. We were just shooting the breeze.
It was a good show. Good show.
Yep.
Got me jacked for football to come back.
Oh, I know.
Man.
I mean, once I saw like they were, I mean, in shorts, but like I saw they had
got some numbers on, right?
Yeah,
all
that stuff. Right. Yeah, I mean, it was good stuff. Before you know it, man, it's gonna really be training camp. So it's on the way.
Sure.
As always, you guys can head over to our website, averagesportsguys.com.
Yes, sir.
All of the links to our podcasts are there. Hit us up on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We're everywhere. This is Eddie.
I'm Adam.
This is Marcus.
And we're the Average Sports Guys. We out.
We out.